Welcome to the Dr. Mary Travelbest Guide podcast. I'm in San Diego today, and I'm talking about Lima, Peru. A few weeks ago, I returned from a 90-day journey around the world, which included Lima, Peru. We're going to quickly address an FAQ about airport lounges. Well, it's not going to be quick, but I want to answer the questions you have, and you've asked a lot. So first of all, how do I gain access to an airport lounge? So if you have an airport lounge offer because you booked it, yeah, you can use it. You can also use a credit card vendor access for a free lounge, as long as space is available for you and your guest. There are restrictions on how soon you can check in, how long you can stay, and rules to follow once you're there. So what is an airport lounge for those who haven't been in one? It's a quieter space, past security, featuring comfortable seating, Wi-Fi, outlets, snacks and meals, and often soft drinks, sometimes even alcohol. Think calm before the flight. So there are pay-per-use lounges that are independent, and then there are lounge membership programs, as well as credit card lounges, and then airline lounges. Without status, you may have to pay for a day pass or something. So there's all kinds of different ways, and the notes in this podcast have all those details. So one of the things I loved about my 90-day around the world trip was I was in 15 different airport lounges, at least. And having Wi-Fi and outlets and nice seating really made a difference. Those snacks just carried me for many meals. And the restrooms were mostly clean, and some of them even had showers. I could set up a work area. I could read the newspaper. I could have a quiet room or even take a nap. Now, some of them have time limits where you have to go in there 3 hours before your flight or no sooner than that. It depends. And there was even one place that, because of the airline I was taking, it wouldn't accept me. But you do have to show your boarding pass, and then you also have to show whatever your access is. Now, there are capacity controls. At peak times, even eligible guests may have to wait. So you may have to give them your name, number, and then they'll text you when you can go in. Now, for dress code, casual is acceptable, but do be considerate if you're making phone calls. Don't be obnoxious. And there could be a payment for guests, and this could change in the future. So if you have a short layover and you want this guaranteed calm, you may pre-book or prepay. But if you've got a priority pass membership, it often does pay off. I know I pay for mine, but it has paid itself many times over. You could also look at the airline's annual lounge membership. And if you have a premium travel card, its bank lounge and partner network might be applicable. So my 60-second challenge is for you to get access to some lounges. It's going to take some practice. Check the fine print. And my book series dives deeper into best practices while traveling solo. So you can find that link in the description also. So today we're going to talk about Lima, Peru. And especially if you're a solo traveler, I'm going to share both my honest and not all the good parts, but I'll share. It wasn't all smooth sailing, but I did have some little victories. So we'll start at the airport. I did feel a little lost when I landed in Peru. I couldn't find the bus. I couldn't get an Uber. I couldn't even find a place to refill my water bottle. After a little bit of frustration, now it was getting dark, I ducked into a hotel again to try Wi-Fi, and no luck getting a ride. So I went back to the terminal, and yes, I paid about $10 for a bottle of water. Sometimes you just need to hydrate and move on. So finally, I discovered that the bus stop I needed was about 500 yards away from the airport, behind a building. And it was a long wait. I had to wait about an hour. Finally, the bus arrived, and it only cost $5 to get to Kennedy Park in Miraflores, where my hostel was located. This journey was slow because traffic was heavy, but I persevered and finally got there. Then I landed at the tourist information office, and they gave me very clear walking directions, and the hostel check-in was easy. So, what worked for me? I was going to come back to the same hostel later on in my trip, and I did. Consistency helped. And it was only about $16 a night for a shared room. The bathroom was located around the corner down the hall. They did my laundry, too, for a very low fee. Bless them. They also served breakfast. I had to pay for it, but it wasn't much. And they let me use the kitchen for my lunches and dinners. Now, for budget travelers, these little conveniences made a big difference. Another bright spot was I had a day host in Lima, a woman named Hannah. She was wonderful. And I had few warm clothes for my trip to Machu Picchu, so she lent me her serape. It was bright orange, but it was warm, and I really was grateful for her. And I returned her the garment, of course. I took her to lunch to say thanks, but honestly, her generosity warmed me more than the serape did. I also visited her family in the San Martin neighborhood, and that was even closer to the airport than Miraflores. I got to meet her mom, Luz, her sister, her nephew, Alonso, and we ordered some food, but it never seemed to arrive. Well, but we had good time talking in Spanish about their future, and Hannah had just received her master's diploma, and she's hoping to earn a doctorate so she can become a teacher. So I'm rooting for you, Hannah. Now, a couple of things I left behind at the hostel: my neck pillow and a new lock that I had bought. Hey, this happens, but things worked out. I did okay anyway. The next morning, or another morning, I should say, I took a solo walk in Lima, and I went to visit this statue called the Love Statue. It's famously enormous, and there's bodies that are intertwined. And even the gardeners are for love because the plant beds are all shaped like little hearts. I walked through Miraflores with confidence. Parque Kennedy, it was at first a little intimidating to me, but now it felt welcoming. There's many cats there. So these cats, they're fed and they're sheltered in little huts, and you can adopt one if you fall in love with one. So for an animal lover, it's kind of a sweet and calming experience. Another day, Hannah showed me La Punta, was near her home in San Miguel. And it's a peninsula with a fascinating history. About 200 years ago, a tsunami reshaped the area, creating some islands. And today it's home to the Navy. And in the summer, it gets busy. So I was there in winter, and it was kind of interesting. There's really no sand. It was just rocks, and the water's cold, even in the summer. And the nearby port of Callao is bustling. So I loved seeing a part of Lima that most tourists missed. Now, getting back to the airport by bus from where I was took about 60 minutes again. And then I came back, as I mentioned. This time it was a brand new airport. So I'd just come from Machu Picchu and Cusco. And when I got to Lima, the new airport was next door to the old one. It has the same name, but it was a whole new airport. So it was kind of interesting. So a few tips from my experience in Lima. You might have a little wobbly first hour like I did, but, take a breath, backtrack, and get what you need, even if it's a little pricey. Your well-being comes first. And then budget stays can be a big win. I had a clean shared room, breakfast, laundry, and a kitchen. Those saved me time and money. And I had some nice kindness from Hannah and her family. It was really nice. I got to see the Love Statue. I got to explore Miraflores, Kennedy Park, and the cat sanctuary was kind of nice. There were more parts of Lima that I'd love to see another day, but a couple of things that I think you would enjoy and some tips is to kind of keep track of your small things. Like, since I left the neck pillow and a lock, I should have had a checklist. And airport, make sure that you get there 3 hours before for an international trip because transit can be slow. So even though Lima didn't greet me with a red carpet at first, it greeted me with a real life experience. A little confusion, a little bit of patience, a little bit of help from strangers, some rocky shores, some heart-shaped love gardens, and it really felt like confidence, the kind you earn. So what a great trip so far. If you've been enjoying this podcast about Lima, please share it with a friend, make a comment, and I'll see you on the next journey.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travelbest, that is.